Hello and welcome to the Armory. Today we are actually finally getting to our #1 Mark III restoration conservation project. And this one here is actually one of the ones from that Royal Tiger batch that we got. This is our 1916 dated #1 Mark III. We ended up cleaning it up, rebluing it, cleaning up the stock. That's pretty much all we did on this. We repaired anything that needed repaired on it, and it's now a completely functional firearm. But I will say this, the receiver and everything was so rusted up, you could not really tell what the date was. You could not tell what the serial number was easily because of how much rust was on this rifle. But we got it all cleaned up, and we are actually planning on doing it again to our Lithgow #1 Mark III. And on this one, we got some cracks in the wood here. There's another big long crack that runs along here. And there's a big chunk of wood missing here. And we have a donor stock that we are going to be using to repair that. So what we are actually going to be doing in this video is, and we haven't done it yet, is tear this rifle completely apart. We are going to replace this cocking piece as it will not cock. We are going to convert all the metal, so we're going to get rid of all the rust that's currently on this. We're going to completely go over it, check everything. Some of the stuff we're not going to do on camera for specific reasons, but we are going to go over everything. We are going to refinish the wood, refinish the metal. We're going to give it a new blue job. And then we are going to take this out to the range and shoot it. So while you follow us, hit that like and subscribe so you can make sure you see more like this. And we're going to go to the bench now and start tearing this apart and going into a deep dive on this together. All right, so the first thing we did was we removed the magazine and the magazine's follower and spring. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on camera. Camera wasn't recording when I thought it was, but we caught everything in time. So I don't know if you can see all the rust and everything that's in there, but that is nasty. We got to get it dealt with. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So our next thing we're going to actually go ahead and do, and sorry we're not at the workbench, we're at our table here. Our workbenches are all kind of full right now with other projects. But we need to get this down, get this part, and get it looked at. Make sure we don't have to order anything else, like this cocking piece that we already knew about. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. So we're going to remove the bolt next. So we're going to remove the head. I am going to disassemble the head off camera for the work we're doing on this. Because it's really not something you'd be doing much anyways, unless you have to replace the extractor or the spring, which there's your extractor, there's your spring for your extractor inside of there. So unless you really need to replace either one, which these springs are known to break, there's other videos out there on how to do that. It's real simple actually. I mean, you just push down in there with a pick, push in here, and it comes out, and then it's only held in by a screw. So what we are going to do now is we are going to get to this. We're going to get this off. So the very first thing we're going to do is we got this retaining nut in here. Oh, bolt. I'm sorry. First, we're going to find a bit that fits better. We want a good size so we don't damage our screw heads. So, oh man, that is in there tight. That might be also the rust that we're dealing with on everything else. So that we're going to clean these bolt heads up and everything, so there's nothing to worry there. So then our next step is to get the firing pin off of the cocking piece. And for that, we got this special tool here. So we're going to that's not looking good. Might have to come back on this one. So what we're going to have to do on this, we're going to have to hit this with some penetrating oil. This is not moving at all, which is not a good sign. But I can at least show you what we got going on here with our caulking piece. So if you notice here, let me grab a pointer. Right here, how that shelf is. That shelf shouldn't even be there. If we look side by side with our new caulking piece, right here's where the shelf is on this one. It's missing this entire segment of the caulking piece, which is keeping this from caulking. So the whole purpose of what we're doing now is we're going to be cleaning the cosmoline and everything off of this. This one's going to be going to the trash once we're done, but we have to get it freed up. In fact, we may need to get a new firing pin, because I didn't notice this until just now. It appears this firing pin has a weld through it. If you look right here, somebody drilled and welded the firing pin to this caulking piece. I'm not going to, I can get away with reusing this bolt, but I think we are going to need a new firing pin, unfortunately. Why would you do that? So this is why we actually take things apart and actually look at them and make sure everything's working properly. It's so that we can catch issues like this. Like, hey, why is this not unscrewing? We have a special tool for it. Why is it not unscrewing? Oh, hey, somebody drilled and drilled and welded it. All right. So that negates that for now. At least those are readily available. I can find new ones. That's not a problem. All right, so now our next step will be the barrel band here and the nose cap here. And the reason I say that is right now everything that's holding this on, our forend is being held on here by this screw here. This is holding the entire trigger housing. This screw here is only holding in our ears, but this screw here is holding on to a retainer here, which I would grab one of our other ones to show you, but we're going to be getting down to it anyways. And this bolt here on the nose cap, as well as this bolt running through it as a cross. So we're going to start, and hopefully it doesn't give us issues. Let's see. This one is a good fit. Let's try this one just to make sure. I like how this one fit better. And right now I'm using a shorter one just to give me a little more leverage. I could extend the screwdriver, but for now, this is giving me a little more leverage. And I did try to remove this screw off camera a couple weeks ago, and it would not budge, and that's why we really started lubricating, because one of the first things I noticed was this handguard was moving back and forth like this, and that was because this was not retaining. So we just used some penetrating oil, kept soaking it, kept soaking it, kept soaking it. and eventually it finally came loose. Moment of truth. Let's see what we got going on underneath here. So I'm not even seeing this. You're seeing this before I am. So on our handguard here, we got this major crack here, which runs all the way here. We got another separate crack. If I split it, see if you can pick that up, and you can see it right here. And we got another minor crack starting here. And how we're going to go about fixing this is we are going to actually be using Acroglass to repair this. We are going to use a black dye in our Acroglass, and we are going to glass all this up, let it sit, let it cure, and then we are going to refinish this handguard, of which we have quite a bit of rust on as well on that little nose cap piece. So we're going to set that to the side for now. Let's see what we got now. Completely in the white. Lots of rust. This is going to be fun. All right. Oh, moving it over here. I'm right-handed, so will give me a little more leverage. Yep. So let's go ahead, change out our bits, and remove our nose cap. So we're going to start with this bottom screw quite easily. And then one of the things, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that we're looking for as we take this apart. Because if we have to buy more parts, we have to buy more parts. That's not a big deal. And if anybody asks, how do you know where everything goes? Well, I've put enough of these, I've taken enough of these apart, put enough of these back together, that luckily no two bolts are the same. So finding out which one goes where is quite simple. So like these two here are your hand guards. This here is for your, this is for the nose cap. This is for your, this is the barrel band that clamps down the the hand guard to the forend. And one thing about this screw is it has this little bit of a recessed hole in there, so you know what you're looking for. This little screw here obviously goes on the cocking piece, which locks the cocking piece. Which is supposed to lock the cocking piece to it's supposed to lock the cocking piece to the firing pin. This one seems to be stripped out, even though this is our new old stock one. Well, used. I know what I'm going to do for that, so no big deal. We'll get that fixed. All right. So we get our nose cap off. We're going to put that there. So one of the first things we're looking for when taking this apart, we want to make sure this spring is here. If this spring is missing, you need to replace it, and they are readily available. Because one of the infields we got was missing this spring. And what that does is it helps retain tension on the barrel for accuracy as the barrel flexes. So that's how it was explained to me. Also, we're going to take out this retaining screw here. And this is another thing you need to look at. So there's the screw there. You can see it's also a different shape than all the others. Now, when you get that screw out, there is another spring inside of here. You want to make sure that spring is there. If it is not there, that's not a big deal. You can replace them. I actually have a few spare laying around the shop here. All right, so our next thing we're going to remove to get this forend off before anything else, because you want to get the forend off before you get the buttstock off. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you try to remove the buttstock off, especially depending on which infield you have, damage to the forend can occur. So we're going to start with this screw here. We're going to remove that one there. This screw here. There's a screw, so we're going to turn this. There is a screw here, and we got to make sure we have the right size bit. Felt right at first. Let's try this one. Just go shorter just for leverage. This is also on there. Pretty good. Alright, we're going to set that there. Now, that's going to allow us to remove that. And luckily, this wasn't in there too bad. Ooh, that's actually good. That is really good, because I need that for a template. Alright, so now, let's go ahead and set this down. We are going to take our trigger out of the trigger housing. So we do have a crack right here, piece of wood missing. That is not a big deal. We also got the bushing here, so that is also good. It's good to see. And you don't want to just yank on this. We're dealing with rust and everything. Oh, is it different on these Lithgows? This may actually be different. On the BSAs, this screw here did not have to be removed. Even on the infield we have one infield and the rest were BSAs. And then we have this Lithgow here. And on all of the BSAs in the infield, this did not have to be removed because the housing here, the ears, came off with the stock. So let's go ahead and remove this if we can. See what we got going on. It could just be rusted up to the barrel for all we know. I mean, with how everything else is showing on this. All right. Be careful, we don't want to break anything. All right, so it is coming off. All right, we're just going to gently lift it off. So we actually have a lot of good with this wood. It's nasty. That is for sure. It is nasty. I want to set this over here while we talk about the wood a little bit. So some of the things that I've noticed with the other stocks that we've been dealing with, quite a few of them were missing the bushing that's in here. So the bushing right here where the stock bolt here goes through, a lot of them were missing that. And you see how the stock bolt goes in here. There's a bushing that goes around that. So a lot of them were missing that. Like on this one, the piece of wood is cracked there. That's an easy fix, not a big deal. But now, this right here, we're going to have to fix it, but we can. There's a chunk of wood right here on almost all of the others that was missing. This one has it in here, but we still are going to have to add a little bit of a reinforcement in here for the rest of the wood that's missing. So this does have that little chunk of wood right there that's usually missing on these stocks. And I'm gonna from one of the other stocks, I'm gonna put a picture up right here to show you what I'm talking about, what's missing. But that is pretty good that it's actually there. So that's good. We're going to use that to our advantage, and that's going to help us with the wood that we're going to be putting in here, because this right here is where we're going to be splicing a new piece of wood. Alrighty. And at first I was debating, are we going to get a chunk of walnut, just put it in there and just cut it, or are we actually going to use a donor stock? And I'm going with the donor stock option right now. That could always change at any time. So let's look at this, inspect. So let's go ahead and push this out. Let's get all the metal out that we can without damaging the stock. So there is this, as I said, this sits here, pushes on the metal, the spring. So when it's shot, when you shoot it, it helps to stabilize, and it's supposed to help for accuracy with the firearm. Let's get this one out. So rusted up in here. When we're done with this stuff is going to go back in pretty nice. Will not be having this issue. We'll have to get that out later. Get a pair of pliers or something. So now, as I was saying, we had talked about chunks of wood missing. Oh, here's a part of that wood that I was just talking about. This sits in here. All right. So we will end up gluing that back in as well. That won't be too hard to get back in there. Alright, we will acroglass all that back in. So I'm glad we still had that. Now, suspicions. That was pretty well rusted up. So our ears here were pretty well rusted up, is why we had a hard time getting it off. So we're going to put our screw over with all the other screws. We are going to clean this up, re-blue it, and put it back together. Alright. So now, the next trick is going to be getting the rear section of handguard up without destroying it. Let's just kind of wiggle it. This one just came right off. We got some mold starting here. We will deal with that when we clean everything up. So we will set that with the rifle. The wood. There is a lot of rust here. So I guess the next step we're going to do is we are going to take our leaf sight off. There is a pin here, quite easy to get out. You just got to make sure you have the right size punch. Start punching it out. Let me grab a pair of Now, one of the keys to this is being gentle. Now, I will say this is easy to lose. I've lost a few of them already, but it's not hard to make one. Okay. Being gentle is actually a friend to you on these. Even though it's all rusted up, you might be tempted just to start whacking them real hard. That if you're dealing with the wood, you could easily blow out your wood doing that. Alright, so we got that. We will clean that up. Alrighty. This is coming off. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing. What I'm doing right now is I'm holding my hand here and my fingers here like this, so that I could put this in our vise, but I'm not doing that because I'm working here and our vise is tied up with another one of our projects. So just using that punch pops everything out. And what I really like is having a punch that's just almost the same size as this pin that holds everything in. Because what'll happen is when we go back together with this, what I like to do is I like to stick a punch through and then use it as a guide for this coming back in. That way we don't fight it as much. Because one issue we have is with the spring tension, it wants to push the rear sight back up. So lining everything up becomes a little more difficult. So let's go ahead. We are looking here, looking at our spring. And we really do not want to damage any of the screws, because that will defeat a lot of the purpose that we're dealing with here. What I'm doing right now is I'm using this head gently to clean out the gunk and everything out of the retaining screw here for the leaf spring. Well, at least the rear sight spring. So we're gonna give it a good tap. I think on this one I want to use the ratchet. Just take a look, see how it works, and it's coming free. Awesome. Alright. Alright, there we go. See if we can remove it, or is it just too rusted? If it's too rusted, I'm not going to fight it. I like to work it back and forth just to see if it moves, which way it moves. Because whichever way it comes out is the same way it goes in. Just reverse order. But we do have a ton . And when I say a ton, I mean we have a ton. of rust. I think what we are going to end up doing on this I think what we're going to do on this is we are going to convert this, and then we are going to again try and remove this leaf spring because it is not wanting to move at all. Alright, that's what we're going to have to do. So then our next step is going to be, God, this is so nasty. I'll be honest, out of all of them that we've cleaned up so far, this is the worst. Yes, they were all rusted up and everything, but none of them were this bad. Where is this? None of them were rotted or anything this bad. I'm actually, honestly, surprised. This screw came out quite easily. So we're going to see what it looks like after we convert it. As I said, we are going to make sure all these screw heads are fixed, ready to go, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and get this off. Let's grab this. So we got our spring here, which comes from our sear and our magazine release. Alright, see if we can get it off. There we go. So now, there's our sear. Let's go ahead and inspect it. Looking for any kind of real significant damage. No real damage, just nice and crusty, like everything else. So what you're not seeing here, because of all the rust, there is, let's go ahead, we're going to be cleaning this up anyways. Bluing it, and if I remember correctly, this pin comes out either one of two ways, but it may also come out either way. I don't know off the top of my head. There's a pin here that holds your magazine release. Let's come on to the other side. For our next video, we got to get this table cleaned up. I was not expecting this to be so dirty. I think we should have held off on this until we had a workbench clear. And we got 4 workbenches here in the shop, and all of them are in use. Might have to hit this with some penetrating oil. Remember how I said be gentle? It's not going to apply to this right here. Alright, let's try again. What we're going to have to do on the magazine releases, we are going to have to hit it with some penetrating oil. This is not coming off, and it's not acting too happy. Alright, so now we are going to come over to this rather janky safety. This is not the best safety I've seen on one of these. I'm going to do a little research to make sure that it's the first time I've seen a safety like this. I mean, I think I've seen pictures of a similar safety, but most of the ones we have are a lot better looking than this. This looks like something somebody cut out. So we're going to verify that, make sure that it is a good safety. If not, we will go ahead and replace it as well. Wouldn't be the first safety we've replaced around here. Alrighty. Now, talking about safety. Okay, that does fit in there. I was more worried that the threads might have been stripped, but it's going on easily. Doing what it's supposed to do. All right, we'll get that off there. We will remove this like so. All right, I am not taking so there's a screw here. What this is your ejector. I am not removing that as I really don't need to on this, unless there was an actual issue with the ejector, which I won't be able to tell. In fact, shoot, there might actually be. What I'll need to do is, once we get that, I might put another bolt in here without a firing pin in it, just to test the ejector on this. Because if that ejector's no good, well, again, if it's no good, it's no good. In fact, let's go grab one of our other ones and do that real quick. Alright, I got one of our other bolts. Let's grab this head just because I'm not checking head spacing or anything like that right now. I just want to see if we need what we need. Alright, it ejects. That's what we need to know. So, we got an answer there. I'm going to leave the ejector in there so that we don't really have to mess with it. When I got my first Royal Tiger #1 Mark III, I actually had to replace that because it was actually missing from the firearm. So now, next thing I'm going to take off is going to be our sling swivel here, and I am not able to take this butt plate off without excessive force, because instead of having a screw at the back here like this, right up top here is a nail. So we're going to figure out what to do with that later. For now, sorry about that, the camera shut off on us. So what we're going to do now is we are going to remove the sling swivel. We are going to remove the bolt that goes through, or at least we're going to attempt to. One thing I noticed, stock is a little loose, which usually indicates the bolt isn't all the way tight. So usually these screws don't usually give me a problem. These swivel screws, usually the swivel screw that gives me a problem is the one right here. So let's see what we got. Alright, so now with all this rust and everything, we want to be careful as we come out because we do not want to destroy the wood around it. This one just popped right out, surprisingly. Usually what happens is when they rust, it comes up into here, it starts digging in, and when you try to lift it out, it just blows out the edges here. Luckily we didn't have that happen. So now comes the fun part, because sometimes to do this I have to put it in a vise. So long flathead screwdriver, stick it in, kind of fish it until we get a grip, and there we go. Just get it back on the table. Now there are some things on this I'm going to be doing to preserve the history of this firearm, and I'll show you here because it's on the stock here. We are going to polish this butt plate up. We are going to do it on the stock just because of what we got going on. This is a conservation. This isn't a full restoration, make it look new. Alright, so our video got cut short a little bit there. We got the Lithgow completely disassembled. Unfortunately, we didn't realize while we were taking the buttstock off that the camera shut off on us. So, a few of my final thoughts on this. To be honest, out of every infield I've ever done, and I've done quite a few, this is the worst condition I've ever had to deal with on one of these infields. A lot of rust, a lot of gunk, and just again to get that magazine latch off, we had to do it off camera, and it took quite a bit of time to do it because of all the rust and everything that was on it. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of persuasion, but we finally got it off, and we're going to get it all cleaned up so that it's functional again. And this will be one you will be seeing us at the end of our next video actually taking it to the range and shooting it. Because what we're going to be doing now is we are actually going to be cleaning it and refurbing it so that it is back to complete functionality. So hit that like and subscribe button so you can be notified when that video comes. And we've got other things going on here at the armory. Our Arasaka video, we're currently still, we're in production on that one. We're actually almost done with it. All we still have left on this is really just to wax the stock and everything. But that video is going to be coming up here shortly, as well as a few other things that we have going on around here. We just got in this double barrel shotgun that I'm quite eager to get working on. But we actually have to wait on a few parts because we got some broken parts here. And if you'd like to actually see us do a video on this shotgun, it's actually a Crescent shotgun, leave a comment below because I'd be more than happy to do a video on this. Really, there's not much in the way of videos on these shotguns out there. I found a few, but there's really not that many. And yeah. If there's anything you would like us to see, if there's anything that you can think of, leave a comment below. I'd be more than happy to listen to see what you guys have to say. But other than that, we'll see you next time on the Armory.